Hi everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to properly install or mount your CurKym Designs tumbler turner. So first things first, when you open up the box, you'll see some parts. The primary part, the main one, is this. This is called the primary pedestal. It's called the primary because it's the first one. It's where the motor will mount to. It'll come looking like this, mostly assembled. You will also have the motor mount, which is a standard 3-inch rotisserie motor mount, and of course your motor. You'll also have 2 bolts, 2 nuts, and 2 washers, which will mount the motor mount and the motor up to the primary pedestal. You'll also see your secondary pedestals. You could have a few of these depending on what number of cup turner you ordered. It'll come looking like this. You'll also have 2 pulleys, PVC adapter, the axle that has a PVC adapter already installed, and again, a couple of belts depending on what number cup turner you ordered. Also some screws to mount it. When it comes to the tools you'll need, a drill would really come in handy. You can also use a long screwdriver. I have a right angle screwdriver that makes one part of this installation a little bit easier, but you don't have to have that. Also an 8mm open end wrench, and you will also, in your kit, you'll get a 2mm hex head wrench and a 2.5mm hex head wrench. You'll also get a strip of Velcro. You might be wondering what that's for. Well, I'll show you, okay? When it comes to actually mounting it, most of the time what we use is a large piece of wood. This is a 2x10. That's probably the smallest size I would recommend. You can go a 2x10, you can go a 2x12, again, available at any big box store. It's thick enough, it's heavy enough, so that when you're putting cups on your turner or taking them off, it's not going to move around all over the place. Also, some of these cups can get pretty heavy. If you've ever done a 40 ounce or tried a wine bottle, they can get kind of heavy. So if you had anything skinnier than that, it could tilt. Good thing about this design also, if you have a proper work surface for it, you could just directly mount it to the work surface. A lot of people like to put it on a big piece of wood. Again, that's how we do it for portability. You can kind of move it around, okay? So I'm going to show you how to put this together. Make sure you get the optimum performance out of it, and we'll start in a second here. The first thing you're going to want to do is select a good spot for your first primary pedestal. I always tend to work left to right. You could have the primary pedestal on the right and work left. Doesn't really matter. This is where the drill comes in handy. So I'm just going to go ahead put in the first one here. Make sure it's nice and snug. Make sure it's straight. If the screws go in a little off center, that's just fine. So you see that is nice and secure. Okay? Now, the reason that we don't have the motor already mounted is because we do have to be able to get to that screw. And you'll see that when I put the motor on, it would become really difficult to mount that back screw if the motor was in place. But this is a really simple operation. I'm gonna go ahead and take your motor mount, slide it in. Having an extra set of hands at this step would be helpful, but not really necessary, okay? And then you see you have the square rod. Just insert that into the motor. Find a good height. You don't want to have it too low. You don't want to have any like play. So make sure it's snug up against there. Put the bolt through. Grab your washer. Put the nut on. Repeat on the other side. Sorry if my head's in the way there. Washer and nut. So now we want to snug that down. This is where having a little right angle screwdriver kind of comes in handy. But like I said, you could also use the regular Phillips head and get into it right like that, okay? I kind of prefer that. I have this, so I use it. So put a little bottom pressure on the bottom here just to make sure it's up enough. Put the open end, this is the 8mm wrench, and snug that down. It doesn't really need to be too tight. It's not going to go anywhere. And that's it. Your motor is now installed. So now we're going to go downstream and put in the next couple of secondary pedestals. For purposes of today, I'm putting together a 5-cup, and we'll see how that looks. Now that we have our primary pedestal installed, it's time to install the secondary pedestals that go downstream from the primary. And this is what this is going to look like. You'll want to grab the axle here, go ahead and slide it through the bearing, grab one of the pulleys. You want to install it so that the teeth part are more in the middle. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. Now at this point we have to put the belt on. Otherwise, if the axle was all the way through, we wouldn't be able to get the belt in. We also want to grab our other belt, kind of put it on there loosely, grab the other pulley, and then continue to push the axle all the way through. So there you go. We've got both of our belts installed. Now we just need to attach the PVC adapter and tighten everything up. PVC adapter will fit on just like this, and it should bottom out on where that bearing is right there. So I'm going to go ahead and push this on. Make sure you push from both sides. Want to make sure it's well seated. This is where the 2.5mm hex wrench comes in handy. That was provided. You want to snug down these set screws. You do not want to over torque them because it will otherwise strip out the PVC adapter. So they just want to be snug. They should fall just a little bit below the surface of the axle, or I'm sorry, of the PVC adapter itself. Let's snug that down a little more. There we go. Now, the most important part about putting on the secondary adapters is making sure that the pulleys are in alignment. So I'm going to kind of go off to the side here, and it looks like it's a pretty straight shot. That looks pretty good. I don't have an excessive twist or anything like that, which could cause the belt to slip or to maybe even slip off, which never really happens, but you just want to make sure it's nice and straight and on there. And that the tension, not too loose. If you have to opt for too loose or too tight, you definitely want to make sure it's too tight. A belt that's too loose will possibly slip while it's under load. So now I am going to mount this pedestal. I'm going to start with this screw right here. Again, if you have two people, sometimes that comes in handy. There. I got a little twist there, not a big deal. Just have to move it a little bit. Okay. That's still looking pretty good. Mount the back screw. There we go. There we go. That's really good tension right there. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm getting a little bit of deflection, but not much. That's good tension right there if you can see that. Okay. All right, let's install our next pedestal. All right, for this 5-cup turner, we're going to install our last pedestal. Again, we're just repeating exactly what we did with the first secondary pedestal. We take our axle, put it into the bearing, grab one of our pulleys, I think I have to loosen up. There's little set screws, and I haven't set the set screws yet, but there's little set screws here, which I'll show you what to do with those in a moment. Put our pulley on, put our belt through. Install the other pulley. Your tumbler will always come with 2 pulleys, even though it's obvious we don't need the second one for this application. But this is if you ever want to expand in the future. A lot of people start off with a 3 or a 5-cup turner. They're like, their business gets a little bit bigger, they need to expand, they order a couple more pedestals. So it's always nice to have the pulley already there. So we have our other pulley in. We have to push through. Gotta line it up. Oh, I think I have to. I should have unscrewed these to begin with here. Set screws are a little bit too far in. There we go. There we go. All right. Because this belt from the second pedestal is on the inside, we are going to put it on the inside of this one as well. Again, so it lines up a little bit better. But first, move the drill out of the way. I need to go ahead and put on my extra PVC adapter. Slide that on. Again, set screws. Again, remembering don't over torque them. There we go. That's looking good. I want to check my alignment. That looks very good right there. Bring my cordless drill back over. I have my screws ready right here. And I am ready to go. It looks, yeah, it's a little loose. Let me see. See if I can make it a little bit tighter. That looks good. Hold it down. Oh yeah, a little tighter than the first one, but it feels really good. If you don't get it right on the first shot, not a big deal. You can go back and redo it. That looks really good. That looks really good. We have got really good tension on here. Really good tension. Now, you want to go in and tighten down the set screws on the pulleys. Obviously right now they would just be rotating freely on that axle because we haven't tightened down the set screws. And again, that's what the little 2mm wrench is for, to tighten down the set screws. There we go. There's 2 set screws on each pulley. This might actually be a better step if you actually, before they're under tension, I made it a little harder myself, but you can always go ahead and plug it in and have them, they'll rotate around so you can get to them a little easier. Okay. There is your turner. It's put together. I'm going to show you one other step here in a minute. All right, our final step before we're actually ready to start spinning tumblers is to install our Velcro. Now, here's why. This system is designed to work with probably what is the most popular way of doing this, which is going to, again, a big box store, getting some 3/4 inch internal diameter PVC. Then we get these cool things from Amazon. This is to fit I believe fits a 20-ounce cup right here. I wish I could remember. You could ask us, we could send you the link to get these, but we find that this system works the best. You can have the cup on there. Let me grab the cup. You can have a cup on there, you can decorate, and then you can install. Now, why do you need the Velcro? Watch what happens when I just put it on the PVC adapter. Okay? It just spins. The Velcro provides the tension and some friction which keeps the PVC in place. Now, you don't need a whole lot, and the reason we send just a big piece of Velcro is so you can cut little strips yourself, because we have found that not all 3/4 inch PVC is the same necessarily. So it can vary a little bit. So you might have to play around with how much tension you want on there. But I'm going to show you what we recommend to do. So let me pull this off. It's already been pre-cut to fit the length of the PVC adapter, and it does not take much. I'm going to start off with a skinny little strip like this. Take the backing off of it. Backing's kind of hard to get off. There we go. Stick it to the PVC adapter. I didn't put that on perfect, it went over a little bit. But now, just even that little bit provided enough tension. And what's really nice, again, now you can slide it off and slide it on real easy, okay? So you have to have that piece of Velcro in place. And as time goes on, it might get worn out, although we've been running the same Velcro for probably a year and a half, and it hasn't really worn out. But you see it just goes on right like that. Let me put my cup on here. So there you have it. So this is, again, a really good way to do it. A lot of people then will make their own little drying rack out of dowels and be able to put the cup there to have it dry. Another good thing about our system too, while I'm at it, is that you can let's say I have this up against a wall over here. I can decorate over here, and then when I'm ready just to have it dry, I can take it on, move it to the back, and my main work area up front is still usable. So those can be spinning in the back while you're still working on other cups up front. So that is your CurKym Designs tumbler turner. I hope it works out for you really well. Call us or email us. Email us probably if you have any questions on it. And thank you very much.